Oh, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Friday's Snail Mail.
Snail Mail.
Snail Mail. Mail of the Snails here on the SnailTrail4x4 Podcast. It's our Friday segment where we get to sit down and kind of relax a little bit, not worry too much about trying to stress out and create content for you guys after 815 content that you guys can listen and download right now. So,
Yep.
Fridays are always a welcome time for Jimmy and I, where you guys get to kind of control the show a little bit, which is really fun for us. It's fun listening to you guys, getting to reply to you guys, etc. So the way this works for anybody that's new, this first time you're listening to a snail mail, is we have a voicemail phone number that you can call in, and that phone number is 916-345-4744. Look, it's right here.
Good job. You got it.
Spaced on it for a second. I was like, oh, there it is. So yeah, 916-345-4744. You guys can call in. It's a Google Voice number, so it doesn't ring. I have it set to turn off to be ringing on my phone, and it just goes into the voicemail, and then we get to listen to voicemails and respond to them and have a good time and chat with you guys. So it's definitely one of mine and Jimmy's favorite segments now. We look forward to it every week, and it seems like it's your guys' favorite segments out there too, because we get a lot of voicemails. do
we do. Let's see. I can't read the number, but we got down to 32 last week is what we were at. We started at 40, and we got through 8, and we got down to 32. So what are we at now?
39.
39. All right. So we got
didn't go
7
back
more.
over that 40 mark yet, but
Yeah.
So should we kick it off here? It looks like this is Jeff Morgan from Oregon.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Here we go. Question mark. Oh, there it is. Here we go.
Hey, this is Jeff Morgan. I'm talking about winches this week. Something popped up in my feed that made me think of this as a topic, but 8274. The Warren 8274 upright winch, I think, is probably one of the best bang for the buck winches if you can fit it. They're upright, they're fast. You can get all the support parts from them. You can get them off Facebook for like $300 for a rebuilt kit in them. Get the XP motor from Warren, an Albright solenoid. You're into it like $700-800. You get a winch that'll outpull just about anything. I'm getting ready to maybe buy a giggle pin or a red winch. Europeans have these basically 8274 knockoffs that have dual motors, and they're pretty fast, got bigger drums. They're billet. Sometimes the red winches are billet. And they also have what's really cool is an air free spool. So basically the problem with the 8274 is free spooling it out. It's a bitch. The brake drag, they're just kind of a pain. So usually I end up powering mine out to hook up to something. But these will have like an air free spool. Shannon Campbell has one on his race car. You just toggle an air switch and then it just free spools about the weight of the rope. And a company that just came out from the land of kangaroo fucking, Australia, is Carbon winches. They just came into the U.S. market. I'm actually I'm kind of a Warren guy, but I'm really intrigued with these. They're cheap, they're light. Dirt Lifestyle Nate just put one on a rig, and they also have an air-free spool upgrade for like $200. So for like a 10,000, 12,000 pound winch with the air-free spool kit, you're looking at like $1,000. And they're pretty light, and they come with winch rope and everything. It seemed like a really good price point, and you get a lot of, the air-free spool is kind of a good upgrade. So anyways, that's it. And then I looked in the Epstein files and searched Land Rover and found over 300 mentions of it. So we know they still suck.
That's pretty good.
that was good. The 8274, I think it has been the standard of winches for a very long time. I think that, just like you said, if you can fit it on your vehicle and the packaging works for you, that's its only downside, is it's a big package. and it's a very vertical package when typically where you place winches, you really need them to not be super vertical so they don't block a ton of airflow through your radiator and your grill. But the 8274 is kind of like the standard and has been a standard for a very, very long time. I think that Warn has sort of done it a disservice by just leaving it the same and not updating the 8274. I think that a company called Gigglepin, which I love that company name, it came into the market and made essentially the 8274, but made it better. They updated it and they put like you said, the dual motors. It's a really fast line speed. It's got a really nice brake on it. And they have a really good free spool ability of them. Because like you said, that is one of the downsides of the 8274. So Gigglepin, the first time I saw a Gigglepin was on John Arns' Jeep, his TJ.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I got to go up and shoot a series of snow preparedness videos for the Rubicon with RTF. And I got to shoot those with John Arns. And so we were going over recovery gear, and we went and talked about his winch on his TJ as an example of winches. And after that, I was like, this is actually a pretty sweet winch. And he gave me a demo there after we were done shooting. And I was like, okay, this is really, really nice. And then I went home and looked at them, and their Gigglepins are expensive.
Yeah, they are. I'm looking at them right now.
They're very expensive. And I saw the price tag on them, and I was like, well, I can dream. I'm not gonna try and repackage a Gigglepin into any of my crawlers anytime soon. Just so I can have a $3,000 winch on my rig, and even though they are super, super fucking nice. If I was doing,
it looks like they range from like 2,600 to 3,200 pounds.
Okay, yeah, British. Yeah, I think Gigglepin was a British thing. So, yeah, I don't know, and I think I don't know of any place in the United States that's a retailer, a distributor for them. But,
yeah, I don't know.
I haven't dug that far into research on them, but Gigglepin, in my opinion, Gigglepin should be kind of the standard of winches nowadays. They're really expensive. They're really nice, but they work really, really well. If I was doing something more along the lines of like what Towmater does, where I'm doing off-road recovery for business, I would be 1,000% investing in Gigglepins on all the vehicles. But I don't do that for my business, so I'm not going to spend that much money on those winches. So I have been seeing knockoffs showing up out of China recently of Gigglepin and those red winches he's talking about. So I've been waiting for somebody to bring those in the U.S. and see just how good they are, if they're just as good as the original OEM Gigglepins or if they're cheap knockoff versions. So Jeff, I'm really curious, the winch that you get, if you end up getting it, I'd really be curious to see your thoughts on it and the build quality. If you get the opportunity to open it up and look at the gears inside and how it's all put together, I think that'd be really cool too, and hear the feedback on it. So
yeah, and I don't know too much about Carbon. I do know that they're new to the industry. They've been around in Australia for a while, and which is pretty much everything you said, Jeff. And that's really the extent of what I know about them. I just know they're hitting the U.S. market now.
Yeah, I do know that the Australian markets from now having we have distribution for Morphlate over in Australia for a few years now, and we've learned that Australia seems to be either really high-end premium or dirt cheap, and the goal is you can buy 5 or 6 of them as consumable items before you end up spending the same amount of money as your premium item.
Right.
And that seems to be the Australian market. So I'm curious where this company sits in that mix-up with the Australian markets. So
okay.
Yeah, that's exciting though. I'm definitely interested to hear how it goes, Jeff, and I might look into that further. If it's roughly $1,000 to get in on one of those, and it's the same quality as the Gigglepins, that might be worth it to kind of restructure and rebuild front bumpers on the crawlers to fit those. So
yeah, definitely.
Can
you lay them down? Is it possible to tilt it so it's like more horizontal than vertical? Like, can it run that direction?
I mean, it can, but that's just it's weird.
Maybe
if you
the
have
pin
motor
won't
sticking
work.
out further, right?
Yeah, or like, but I'm thinking like underneath my bed. Like put the motor in the back underneath the bed and have the spool more towards the hitch.
Yeah, you could do that as a rear winch. I think that
But I
would work out
wonder,
pretty well.
I wonder if the pin will work, because if you're rotating it, it probably would still
I
work.
would imagine. I would think that those pins are spring loaded, so that they're always going to actually break the system as intended,
Right.
as a safety factor kind of thing. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Good question. Next up,
Yeah.
Logan.
Logan.
I don't know where he's from, but Logan's calling about trail tools. It looks like so.
Okay, cool.
Here we go.
Hey guys, Logan here, calling with some responses to the Trail Tools episode. Try not to go over on time here. I wheel an FJ40, so I'm extremely limited on space. Ditch the back seat. I actually have, if you can picture like the tub of a FJ40, the whole rear area, I have this, locking toolbox goes up and over the fenders, and the height is about like the height of the tub, like where it would split between the hard top. In there, I kind of do a combination of a lot of things Jimmy talked about. I have the soft tool rolls, but then they are stored in a hard Milwaukee pack out. Not a big fan of the pack out. Lots of dead space, and in a cramped vehicle, that's not really okay, but I make it work. The best way to keep everything compact and to know what tools to use, say before a trip like the Rubicon, and I do a full front to back nut to bolt check. Literally, I just set whatever tool I use to tighten something, or put a wrench on it, put a socket on it, and I set that onto the side of the truck. And then that's what went in my tool rolls, and that's what I keep to this day. The pack outs are neat because they have a little like locking platform that I have mounted in the toolbox. And then besides that, ammo cans for all my front knuckle parts, stone toed axles, so studs, seals, all that good stuff. Belts, hoses, everything. I actually have a mount under my hood. Those spare belts and hoses and whatnot live under there. My Morflate's in that back toolbox. I have a Premier power welder, so I have a box that lives back there with all the welding gear. And then my biggest issue these past year and a half or so has been like tweaking out, trying to get my camping gear packed as tight as possible, trying to thread the line between like comfort. I don't want to go full ultralight backpacker, but I drive an FJ40, so I don't have much space. But yeah, I do a good combo between the tool rolls with the removable pouches that live inside of pack out, and inside that pack out's also batteries, electric impacts, electric ratchets, all that stuff. Maybe I'll send some pics. Jimmy said something about getting that TV working. I'll shoot some pics over. I think it looks kind of cool. I'm probably almost out of time later.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sounds like a good setup. I think your only argument is that there is extra space in those Milwaukee pack out things that, like you always say, it's like you can put those soft shells into the hard shell, but there's always going to be space left over and wasted space in a way, which is true. But what the benefit of that to some extent is now it's locked into a contained area. And if you do have any problems you get on your side or on your lid, they're not falling and rolling all over the place. They are contained. So I think that's a really good setup. It sounds like a good setup that you've got going. I actually kind of like the idea of hooks and things underneath the engine or underneath the hood in the engine bay. I think that's kind of neat. It made me think of a few ideas on where to store belts or extra parts, or maybe some lines, or, the extra hydraulic lines for my power steering setup for the hydro assist. That, like, all that could go underneath the engine. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I really like the idea of keeping your hydraulic hoses under there. I don't know if I would like the idea too much of keeping belts under there, because belts are a little more susceptible to heat degradation. than hydraulic hoses. So I keep my belts inside, but I really like the idea of keeping hydraulic hoses in there. So
yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that you could, anything in regards to the engine, you could kind of find a spare spot maybe in your engine bay. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to. I've ever since watching a few people. There's some Jeeps that do it that I know of, and then Lee Lim did it with his old the White Whale. Find a little pocket in the engine bay, and you can keep stuff in that little pocket area, whether that's spare oil, spare fluids, spare parts, etc., and be able to take, almost build a little box in there to put in. You could throw in spark plugs, you could throw in a spare injector or two, you could throw in kind of these different little things into a box. And if you have enough space, you could throw belts into the box and keep them protected from the heat, kind of thing. So
yeah. And you've got the hood as a lid, as long as that box goes up to where the hood is, or there's maybe you put a little rubber sealer between the two of them. Then you don't really need a lid. You just pop the hood, and now you got access to all that stuff.
Yep. What if I don't want to pop the hood and get access to all this stuff, Jimmy?
Or you can't pop the hood, right?
Like cut a little hatch into your hood. Boop.
Yeah, an extra opening. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's like those doors with mini doors that open inside them. All right. Looks like the next one up here.
Okay.
Is I don't know. The names are not coming through on the saved numbers, but I'm pretty sure this is Nick from Montana because the first 3 words are waffle cock.
Perfect. Yes.
We'll see what Nick has to say today.
All right.
What's up, waffle cocks? Nick. Just checking in. Something that came up. My neighbor got hit and killed while she was out for a run and left her family. They figure everything out and pick up the pieces, and they're good friends and stuff. But one of the things that they did that was really smart and saved them a bunch of work was they had their wills done. So anybody with a family, anyone, just in general, I want to encourage everybody to get their wills done. And to write down all your passwords and shit. You almost couldn't get into her phone because you didn't know her passcode. And they had to dig around, and fortunately one of their kids remembered it. So do all that. The other thing, on a positive note, was I never mentioned, or we never talked about the using 3 planes to try locate something in the garage, and might be how I've been measuring off of that. So I shot a laser, I marked 3 points in the garage. With those, I can measure off of anything in there with a little bit of math. Or even dumber is I can just keep lining lasers up and get measurements off of that. So I can set the rear, I can set the wheelbase, and then essentially kind of measure everything off of my marks for the wheelbase. Anyway, I am gonorrhea. Be nice to each other. Say hi to your neighbors. Learn everybody's names. Sometimes bad shit just fucking happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I heard about this one a little while ago.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. I check in with that guy every once in a while. He seems like he needs a little check-in love. So, he told me about that, but but it does bring up a good point. There's, accidents happen, bad scenarios happen, and, it's never too early to set some of this stuff up. I use a password thing on my computer that locks up all my passwords. I know Tyler does as well with a different program, but I don't think the assistant knows the password to get into that.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's something I just need to share with her, or write it down on a little piece of paper somewhere, so that if worst case scenario, she can find it, and then she can access a whole bunch of stuff that she needs to access if I'm no longer around. But yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear about that again there, Nick. I hope the family's doing well. And yeah, I think that was it could be a good reminder for a lot of people of what needs to get done.
Yeah, for sure. It's, if you're single and you're just living life, then and you don't have that many possessions, all your will is just going to go to your closest family member, right? All your possessions and stuff. But the big thing that happens is as you start adding more possessions, start adding more people in your life, especially kids, wills just help keep relationships together. There's so many times when possessions go to get split up and it destroys entire families. It happens over and over again. It happened to my family. So having a will is super important, not just for your own peace of mind when you go. It's really for helping those that you're leaving behind to continue getting along, continue loving each other, continue having a peaceful existence without you around anymore. So
Yeah.
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 And then life insurance.
Yep. Life insurance. And I mean, you could go another level with a trust.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So, cool. Thank you, sir, for calling in. As always, Nick. Always some good insightful, usually insightful things. Let's see. Next up, Uncle Weirdo. Looks like.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Here we go.
Hey guys, what's going on? Uncle Weirdo here. Few things for you as I'm catching up on. I'm only a few episodes behind, but I'm catching up on a few. I can't remember who it was that called in about. They mentioned something about taking notes. I really wish I remember who it was because it was a regular. But anyway, that's what I do. I keep, if I'm driving while listening, which is normally how I listen to them. If I hear something, I'm like, oh man, I got a question or I got something to add to that or whatever. I will take notes and like on my phone or on a notepad or whatever. But yeah, I take notes and that's how I keep track. As I'm even doing right now, I'm looking at a notepad about what I wrote down. Try not to not do that because otherwise my last voicemail, that shit was horrible. I didn't write anything down. I was going off memory and I kind of blanked. Anyways, my next one is you guys are talking about full-size rigs. Though I do agree with you guys. I do like the narrow body, big axle look and wheelability. I think that's kind of like the go-to kind of deal. Whether it's a small 4Runner, Cherokee, YJ, Wrangler, whatever it is, that narrow body, wide axle, bump off the tires, not your body type deal. That's ideal, but as you guys said, full-size rigs definitely do have their place. I do kind of like them. I have seen full-size rigs on the Rubicon. I've seen some really badass built rigs. One of the last times I was out there on the Rubicon, I saw a square body Chevy, and the thing was like truggied out. It was sick. Like it had everything from coilovers, link suspension, 44-inch tires, badass paint job, you name it. The thing was sick. And anyways, it was awesome. But leads me to, real quick before I run out of time, what do you guys think is the key difference between an overland rig versus your typical weekend hunting rig that just likes to go out there, a rock crawler? Like, where do you guys feel like those differentiate? Kind of curious. I was told not to bring that up as it could be the next, trail rating BS, but I think I'm just curious to hear your guys' answer. How do you guys differentiate an overland versus the general guys, weekender hunting, quote unquote rig versus a rock crawler and so on? Keep crawling. Talk to you guys later.
Good question.
Good question for sure. Let's talk about note keeping though real quick, and then we'll jump into overlanding or weekend warrior kind of thing. I think notes are important. I mean, I think both Tyler and I keep all kinds of notes, whether it's on our phone or a little field notes, little thing that we keep on our pocket. I keep notes every time I'm holding it up if you're looking at the video. I keep notes on the podcast as we're going through and what you guys are talking about. So I don't have to try to remember or scan back and do the edits and, fill in who's calling and doing what. So I think notes are super important. I think there's another level to notes that we could dive into on another day if somebody was interested. But what do you do with the notes after you write them down? How do you dump all these ideas down on paper, and then what do you do with them? Do you just have a thing full of notes that you reference back to, or do you put those in one place, or do you start making them into tasks, or what's the next step for you? But I don't know. I love notes. I love taking notes. I love having notes so that I don't have to keep everything in my brain.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. I've got notes on my phone. For me, I've got the difference between informational notes and task notes. And my task notes are just my email list. I send myself an email and then it's in there, and I run my life off of my emails right now. And then informational notes, I just have them there and I can reference back later on when I need that piece of information or data again. But yeah, notes are good, and there's a lot of really good programs out there to run notes. We had a long talk with our buddy CJ with a CJ about a couple of things, options. So there's that. Let's see. What was the other? He made another comment. Oh, full sizes on Rubicon or whatever. One of my favorite things to do on the Rubicon Trail is just watch the other vehicles on the trail.
For sure.
There's so many really cool builds that come out on the Rubicon, and there's never one that's the same. I mean, there's a lot of 4-door JKs that are exactly the same. I'll put that out there. But other than 4-door JKs and even 2-door JKs, outside of those two platforms, there's every build you see on the Rubicon is very unique and has something really interesting going on, something different that owner put into that vehicle, engineered into the vehicle, chose to put that vehicle together that way. And it's always fun for me to see the design choices and engineering choices that people chose for their vehicles to come out on the Rubicon with. So, and there's everything. You get tiny little vehicles. You get Geo trackers out there. You get full-size Dodges, 3500s out there sometimes. So that's rad.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Overlanding versus weekend warrior or rock crawling. How do you distinguish the two? Any thoughts?
I heard 3 categories. Kind of daily, just going out for a day hunting, day trip kind of stuff, overlanding, and rock crawling. I think it's pretty easy. I don't think there's too much of a debate, or there could be too much of a debate. I think that there's areas where those will overlap a little bit, but it's pretty clear if it's a purpose-built vehicle for these 3 activities. I think it's kind of clear what you're looking at. Your Overlander is going to be more or less accessorized out in order to have different things to be able to live extended periods of time out of the vehicle, in my opinion. It's the new age spending a lot of money to be homeless kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So if your vehicle is set up to really be able to live and survive off of your vehicle for an extended amount of time, you're overlanding. It's an overland vehicle. If you are set up to go out for a day trip, you don't have a ton of accessories, you don't have extended fuel tanks, you don't have extended fuel reserves, you don't have beefed up suspension to be able to have better comfort while off-roading. Your suspension is very much moderate, more factory suspension, maybe a mild lift on it, like a spacer lift or something. And you're not really running big tires. You're running kind of maybe all-terrains, if not street tires. You probably have a hunting vehicle. You have something that you really just need to stay reliable and get you in and out in the same day, because you don't have the other extra amenities to stay extended amounts of time away from society. And then the rock crawlers, it's an extreme build. You're trying to typically stay lighter weight in the vehicle, and you've got everything is beefed up on your drivetrain and suspension. So like with overland vehicles, everything is kind of beefed. You might beef up your suspension a little bit. You're probably not beefing up your drivetrain too much. What you're really beefing up is that ability to survive out of the vehicle for multiple days. In rock crawling, you're beefing up the ability for that vehicle to just take abuse and whatever kind of terrain gets thrown at it. And so I think that those are 3 very different, very distinct, purposeful built vehicles.
I agree to some extent. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
when we go on Trail Hero X and we're living out of the Forerunner for a week, is the Forerunner going to be a overlander or is it going to be a rock crawler?
It's a Rocklander, right? So that's where this overlap comes in.
Okay.
But because the big thing is the Forerunner, the mule is not a great rock crawler. It's a good rock crawler. It's not a great one because, in my opinion, it is heavier. Now the suspension and drivetrain is very much beefed up to kind of handle the extra weight of it. But there obviously there are some shortcomings that made some things fall apart. Like the mule is, in my opinion, it's not a really great rock crawler. Like I think Kermit's a better rock crawler than the mule is. But I think the mule is a little bit better, quote unquote, overlander than Kermit is. They can both kind of do the job, but I still think that a buggy or a tube chassis vehicle is going to be a way better rock crawler than either of those two vehicles. So, yeah, but I would put Kermit in more of a rock crawler category than an overlanding category. I'd probably put the mule in more of a rock crawler category than an overlanding category because I don't have a rooftop tent on the mule. I'm having to take ground tents. I don't have a shower with the mule. I don't have awnings to have shade cover with the mule. So I surviving for multiple weeks, extended amounts of time out of the mule just by what is on the mule is probably not feasible, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think the difference really comes down to just overloaded or not to some extent. Like an overlander is just going to they have way too much crap. Like they're not designed to be going off-road in extreme off-roading situations.
Well, they have too much crap for who?
For rock crawlers.
Okay.
To rock crawl. Because and the question kind of looks at like what's Lee, right? What's the new sperm whale?
Yeah.
Because that thing is, but I think he has designed himself a good rock lander to some extent, but he's more on the overland side than a rock crawling one, but he does have a good mix of in between because he can still wheel the Rubicon. But is it designed and made to kind of wheel the Rubicon?
Yeah.
It's not more specifically built for that. It's more specifically built for overlanding long road trips, sleeping inside the vehicle, being somewhat incognito when he gets to camp, having all of his cooking and everything kind of there, easily accessible. Where like Bobcat could do the long road trips and has a rooftop tent. So it's like, okay, what's going on here, But Bobcat is more designed to be a rock crawler than it is an overlander. Like you don't want to drive it on the road for extended period of times. You're going to have a backache. But I carry a fridge, I carry a rooftop tent. I don't have an awning, but I do have some nice amenities for when I get to camp. So I do think there are lines to be drawn, but I do think it's a matter of like, you can kind of look at a rig and be like, that's an overlander or that's a rock crawler. The weekend warrior or the like guy that's going out hunting or fishing or whatever, they almost carry nothing with them. They're not hitting the extreme the extreme trails. They're doing fire roads. Usually they're going on maybe something a little bit more challenging than a fire road, but not a lot. And they're usually not carrying a whole lot of stuff with them, to my knowledge. It's not my game, but that's where I draw the line. What I see different.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. Cool. Should we do one more?
Let's do one more.
All right. Looks like Uncle Weirdo called back.
Okay, perfect.
So we'll see what he had to follow up about.
Yeah, he caught another note.
Yeah, right. Here we go.
Uncle Weirdo here. Damn it, I told myself I was not going to be one of these guys that called back to back, but here I am doing it. But I forgot a crucial part that ties into the full size rigs. question I want to ask or just something I want to put out there, Tyler, I'll be hitting you up about compressor. I do have some Morphlate stuff that I got from Wreck-It Rob. He helped me with a few things, and I purchased a few deals. The only thing I'm missing is a compressor, kind of trying to figure out how I want to hook that up. I've got a Dodge Ram 3500, the 2013. It's a single rear wheel, you know, the non-dually. Kind of want to set that up as like a overlandish type rig. Just something. I've already got some rear suspension that to keep my tow capacity, but also allow a little bit better rideability and flex for the rear coming. But just want to turn that into like a light overland type rig. I can take out, go bump through the snow, handle all the typical mountain trails that are open, and have some general fun without towing anywhere, but also keep my tow capabilities as I do tow with it. But I want to set up. I've got all the hoses and stuff, but anyway, Tyler, I'll be getting a hold of you regarding that. So wanted to put that out there. So look forward to a message from me, man. I'll talk to you later.
Did he say lightweight 3500?
I don't.
You wanted a lightweight
size
rig.
Single rear wheel. I don't see any lightweight about it. But yeah, it's a single rear wheel, not a dually.
Right.
If it sounds to me like your tow rating. So a lot of tow ratings are based on engine pullability, brake ability, and then GVW weight on the axles and suspension, right? So as long as you're not, if you're changing up the suspension, then typically you're not really changing your pullability or your brake ability. You're mainly changing that GVW ability on the suspension. And a lot of times when you put in taller suspension, it oftentimes ends up being a little softer suspension. So the best way to combat that and maintain your GVW ratings is with airbags.
Agree.
Airbags are awesome for helping offset taller, softer suspension and still maintain your GVW ratings of the vehicle. So, and they're great because you don't have to have them engaged all the time. You can dump all the air out of them, and you have your tall, soft suspension, soft ride, etc. When you load up the vehicle, put a big load on the trailer, and have a bunch of tongue weight, put air in the airbags, and it offsets that and allows your suspension to really maintain that GVW weighting on it. So, yeah. And you can do that with a Morphlate compressor.
You can run airbags with a Morphlate compressor?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, and I think in regards to tire size on the vehicle there, Uncle Weirdo, it's just, if you're trying to figure out what compressor to get, I mean, it just comes down to the tire size to some extent. It doesn't have to do with your the vehicle rating or your towing capability. It just primarily comes down to tire size. But yeah, get a hold of Tyler. He'll be happy to answer those questions, or even Sean at Morphlate, the customer service gentleman there. He'll be happy to help you out too.
Cool. Sounds good. Should we end up there?
Sure. Sounds good.
We only got 5 done, Jimmy.
I know.
We're at 34 right now. So
dang.
Some fun topics came out. Some nice lengthy topics. So
definitely.
Yeah. Well, cool. That does it for today. That for this Friday's Snail Mail. Hopefully you guys enjoy the remainder of your day. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe out there, everybody. If you're in Northern California, enjoy the storm that's coming through right now. It's fantastic. And we'll see you guys all on Monday when I turn 38.
Bye-bye.
The number you have called has been disconnected.